across to one of the important sectors there in safeguarding your domestic steel producers may really come at a price. And CNBC-TV18 learns that India stands the risk of being dragged to the World Trade Organization or WTO if it plans to extend the minimum import price imposed on steel imports. Here, Rituparna Bhuyan, who breaks this story right here on CNBC-TV18, joins us with all the exclusive details. Ritu, good to have you on the show. India's run-in with the WTO doesn't seem to end at any point.
MIP, that expires in August. So my sources tell me that as of now, no file has moved, no process has been initiated to extend MIP. It's too early to say what will happen then. But the point that they make is this: MIP is not a measure which is not WTO compliant, and hence it should be used very carefully. It should be used, as a temporary measure, as an emergency measure. Extending it could lead to problems for India, especially at WTO. We could be dragged to WTO. There is a huge risk on that, and hence Commerce Ministry sources have told me that instead India should be using more measures which are WTO compliant to basically stop import of cheap steel. These measures include, for example, anti-dumping. Let's see what happens regarding this. There will be consultations between Commerce, the Steel, and the Finance Ministry on MIP, but Commerce Ministry believes that extending the MIP may not be advisable.
All right. Is this coming in as a surprise? Well, let's find out from the industry as well. Thanks, Ritu, for joining in with those exclusive details. Now we are joined on the phone line now with a person who could get us all the impact on the steel industry because of this. The MD of Kalyan Steels, Mr. RK Goyal, joins in. Mr. Goyal, good to have you on the show. First of all, what will be your reaction? Was in the first place, the MIP or minimum import price supposed to be extended beyond its expiry date in August?
Good evening. First of all, you see, we are expecting that MIP will be extended beyond August 2016 because it is the dire need of the industry and it is the question of the survival of the industry. While at the same time, there are issues related to compliance to WTO regulations, and generally such measures are taken as a short-term measures to support the industry to take care of the surge in imports at a very, very low price. And that's how the government has used these measures. But at the same time, as per the Commerce Ministry, issues like anti-dumping, safeguard duty and all are WTO compliant, and accordingly the industry has already moved application for anti-dumping duty.
That's right, Mr. Goyal. In fact, if the MIP is abolished and does not live beyond its expiry date in August, don't you think anti-dumping will serve the same purpose for the steel industry and will help it out as MIP has been helping in the last few months?
We believe it will take much longer time. By the time anti-dumping duties are finalized by the Commerce Ministry, so there may be a big gap. And in that gap, the situation of the industry will deteriorate like anything.
All right. So in that response, Mr. Goyal, I'm sure that there are industry lobby groups also and industry bodies working towards it as well. What I also want to understand is that, Mr. Goyal, what is the ballpark figure of the impact on steel industry that you see in terms of margins and profitability if MIP goes and nothing to really take its place comes in at the earliest?
It is very difficult to give any number as dumping is not a rational thing. It is a rational thing where people are selling at a much lower than their even manufacturing cost or the prices in their own country. So we don't know in what manner some of these countries will respond, particularly China. They may sell at $200 or $250. So the differential in the cost and the selling price currently prevailing and the price at which they will sell, that will be a big loss to steel producers in the country. So very difficult to give any number.
And this is also a debt-laden sector, so let's see how banks will really tackle this particular situation. Thanks, Mr. Goyal, for joining in with your expert take.